I thought we would start with some ohms, and I've got my little handy shruti box here. And Om is so beautiful because it's when I always feel like when we're working with Shiva, we're working with aspects of Shiva, we're working with consciousness, pure awareness. And the sound to remember ourselves as that awareness and as that consciousness itself is the sound Om. So whenever we're working with Om, we're remembering ourselves as consciousness, as Shiva itself. So we're just going to do maybe 9 ohms together, and I've got this little machine here, and hopefully it won't blow out your ears too much with the sound, because we've got a pretty good mic here. So just close your eyes and just get comfortable. Just relax. Taking a nice deep breath in. Just sit quietly here for a few moments and just be present with your body and your breath. Maybe you notice some sensations or even a sense of relaxation and calm and peace from the mantra. And then when you're ready, just gently coming back. So, Nataraj. Nataraj is known as the cosmic dancer. And this is Nataraj here. You see him dancing in a ring of fire, and he's standing on something. And Nataraj is really symbolizes the never-ending cycle of birth and death and rebirth. in that he represents the timeless. He represents immortality, the eternal. And that is actually the nature of who we are. So we are that eternal, immortal awareness, consciousness. It's just we don't know it. We're not having an experience of that on a sort of relative level, so it's really hard to kind of go, that's us, that's me. So the deities, all the deities, are representing an aspect of consciousness, of awareness, and they tell a story. And we know from being human beings and from our studies and our education that we relate to story. Story is a way that we kind of can connect with something on a deeper level. And so in India, it's all about the deities, and every deity has a story, and they have a form, they have a symbol, they have a mantra, they have a yantra, they have a mudra. So they have all these different aspects that are associated with them, and ways for us to remember them, and in turn remember ourselves. So Nataraj also represents space, and as such he represents the lingam. So I don't know if you can see here, but this is a lingam, and this is a shape which has no sharp edges. It's all round corners. So that represents, again, that there's no beginning and there's no end. So there, even though it appears as though we live and die, consciousness remains regardless of whether there is a birth or there is a death. And so the lingam, the Shiva lingam, represents that. And so what I usually do in these intention setting classes is I actually use notes, and I read the story from my notes, and I read the symbolism, because I want to make sure that I get it all right and I don't forget anything. So the word Nataraj is a combination of two words, Nata and Raja, which together mean Lord of Dance or King of Dance. So Nataraj is the aspect of Shiva who is present at the point of what's called the Maha-Pralaya, the point where creation ends all manifestation and is withdrawn back into the great void. So we could think about that as, you know, when we talk about the Big Bang and everything explodes, and then there's that point of dissolution where everything draws back in before it starts again. So Nataraj is present at the end of the cycle. So to do this, he releases his destructive energies and dismantles the creation in a cosmic dance known as the Shiva Tandava. So Shiva's dance, basically. This dance symbolizes the interplay of dynamic and static energies, which contain the 5 principles of eternal energy: creation, sustenance, dissolution, concealment, and the grace of moksha, which is freedom. So there are 5 different qualities, that are there as eternal energies. Like creation is continuous. Things are sustained. Obviously dissolution is continuous. And this idea of concealment, that what we see isn't necessarily what it is. In other words, when we think about science, we know that everything is energy, but we don't see it as energy. We see it as solid. We see it as matter. So that's that quality of concealment. And then there is this grace of freedom. It's like things happening in our lives that are really positive, or really taking us into flow, or moving us into positive directions. That's really that beautiful energy of grace. So Shiva, as Nataraj, has these 5 different aspects. And they're ongoing, they're eternal, they never end. As we've learned through science, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The destruction initiated by Shiva with his cosmic dance is a vehicle for recreation, thus the cycle never ends. His cosmic dance in a ring of fire causes wild storms all over the world. Not only the earth is affected, but also the sun and the moon and the stellar bodies. With his matted hair, marks of ash on his forehead, the damaru, which is a little drum that he carries, and the trident. Got a little, I don't know if you can see, I've got a little trident here as well. Yeah. So with his trident, he lifts his leg, balancing the right above the figure, which represents ignorance. So the figure that he's standing on is known as avidya. So avidya is ignorance, and that is not knowing. When we come into this creation and we look around us, we don't know what anything is until we're taught. We're taught that that's a bird, that's a flower, that's a tree, and everything is named for us. But before everything is named, we're living in ignorance. And so ignorance is what knowledge removes, right? And Shiva is that knowledge, that awareness, that consciousness which removes the ignorance. Metaphorically, we can think of Nataraj as dancing on the cremation ground of all our thoughts. So consciousness is constantly illuminating every thought, and every thought is only lasting a split second. So that split second that it lasts, consciousness is illuminating the thought, and then we're making that choice as to whether we're going to dance with the thought or not. So Nataraj is that consciousness dancing on all the thoughts, illuminating all the thoughts, bringing all the thoughts to life. So this is the story. I always like to tell the actual story of Nataraj and kind of how it came to be. So long ago in ancient India, there was a powerful king named Daksha. King Daksha was very proud and arrogant, and he thought he was the most powerful being in the universe. He organized a great fire ritual or grand sacrifice and invited all the gods and goddesses to attend, except for one, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva's wife, Parvati, was upset that her husband was not invited to this great ritual, so she decided to go anyway. When she arrived, King Daksha insulted her and Lord Shiva. Parvati was so hurt and angry that she decided to jump into a sacred fire and end her life. When Lord Shiva heard what had happened, he was filled with grief and rage. He decided to teach King Daksha a lesson, so he began to dance. He danced with such force and power that the ground shook and the mountains trembled. His dance was so intense that it threatened to destroy the whole universe. But as Lord Shiva danced, something miraculous happened. His dance turned into the cosmic dance of creation, preservation, and destruction. His dance became the dance of life itself, and it symbolized the eternal cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The dance of Lord Shiva came to be known as the Tandava, and it was witnessed by all the gods and goddesses. They were amazed by Lord Shiva's dance and recognized his divine power and greatness. From that day on, Lord Nataraj became a beloved deity, and people continue to worship him to this day. They believe that by chanting his name and meditating on his dance, they can attain spiritual growth and enlightenment. So it's a very strong image, this image of Shiva, dancing at the end of the world. And as he dances, everything goes crazy, and then he keeps dancing and the world is born again. So as I said, it's just this incredible eternal cycle. And if we look at nature and we look at the cycles of nature, even as we look at the seasons and the symbols of nature, it's all Nataraj dancing this dance. And I love that. I love just that sense of seeing this beautiful dance happening all the time in front of us in every way, and that we're not separate from that. In fact, we are inseparably part of that dance, because we're born, we live, and we die. So here's some of the symbolism of Nataraj. So Nataraj, as a symbol, combines Shiva's role as creator, preserver, and destroyer in a single image. The damaru, the drum that Shiva holds. So if you can see Shiva here, he's got this little drum in his hand, and we'll also go into a page and I'll show you some of the images for Shiva. So the damaru Shiva holds in his upper right hand is said to make the first sound of creation, the heartbeat of the universe. If we take this into the symbol of, or into the experience of, when we're being conceived, the first thing that happens when we're conceived is there's the splitting of cells. And as the cells split, there's a sound. They call this sound the shabda, or the nada, which is the pulse of life. So the damaru that Shiva holds is like the pulse of life, the splitting of cells, the creation just happening on the beat of a drum, right? And then we say, the heart is like a time bomb. It's just ticking, 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 ticking until the ticking stops. So the Maya, the divine fire, which is the fire he holds in his upper left hand, signifies the end of creation, the finishing of creation. With his lower right hand, he makes Abhaya Mudra, the gesture that calms all fear. So you see that here in this lower hand. And then the left hand makes the gesture of Gajahasta, the symbol of salvation and liberation. So actually, that's his right hand, that's his left hand. His right foot stamps on the dwarf figure. The dwarf figure, Apasmara Purusha, represents illusion and ignorance, leading us away from truth. The matted hair spreads during the dance. His energy and wildness disperse. His lock contains a skull, a datura blossom, and a crescent moon, depicting that Shiva is always present, though he is invisible. It's not showing so much. Oh, there's the crescent moon. And if you look closely, you can kind of see it on the symbol there. Ganga, the holy river, resides in his hair, which signifies creation and destruction. The two eyes portray the sun and the moon, and the third eye defines knowledge and insights. Together, they symbolize an equilibrium of the three qualities of nature, which is Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So Rajas is creation and movement, and Tamas is inertia, and Sattva is the expression of purity. It's the balance, it's the harmony that we experience in our lives. So everything, all these qualities of nature are happening inside this beautiful experience of Nataraj dancing his dance. In his Nataraja form, Shiva dances with a flaming halo that symbolizes time and is presented in a circle, as it is cyclical and never-ending. Though the cosmic dance releases energy, passion, and wildness, Shiva has a smiling face. So Shiva as Nataraj is the archetype of the boundless, pure, and unmanifested universal energy, the prana. His dancing form has been surmised by Indian mystics as the flow of cosmic energy that changes into multiple patterns with unique grace and beauty. So as we focus on Nataraj through the practice that we'll share in a moment, think of all the cycles in your own life. How what seemed like a death at some point in your life, it was actually a rebirth, right? So something was ending and something from that ending began again. and how what felt like a huge birth, something we really, experienced and expressed and put out into the world, eventually found its natural conclusion. In the relative world, nothing is static. So being able to accept the cycle of life as the ever-changing spectacle in the presence of the unchanging eternal awareness is the gift that Nataraj bestows. So being aware that the relative is always changing, but it's actually happening in the presence of the unchanging, the unmoving eternal awareness, is really what Nataraj is showing us and reminding us of. I'm going to share my screen and take you into the workshop page, and we'll just have a little look at the mantra for Nataraj, and then after that we'll learn a mudra sequence which we'll combine with the mantra, and then I'll take you into a meditation. So I'm just going to come forward and I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that screen? Yeah? Okay, I can see your thumbs up. That's brilliant. Okay, so here we are, Nataraj, the cosmic dancer. And inside the ashram, I do a media page for every deity. So this is Nataraj, and you can see I put the flames behind. And so here are some of the images of Nataraj. You can see most of them, he's looking pretty wild. He's inside something. And those are pretty typical images of Nataraj. And then, can everybody see the mantra here? This Nataraj mantra? Yeah? Okay, great. So this is the mantra. And it goes Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara, Nataraja. Shivaraj, Shivaraja, Shambho, Shankara, Shivaraja. Now when we do the mudras, we're only going to do this section because it gets a little complicated to do the whole mantra. But it's Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara, Nataraja. And then Shivaraj, Shivaraja, Shambho, Shankara, Shivaraja. So Nataraj, Nataraja is a name for Shiva as the king of the dance of creation and the destruction of the universe. Jaya is victory to, celebration of, an emphatic, hooray, yay, God. Shiva is the auspicious one, the supreme God, the destroyer and transformer, the Lord of the cosmic dance of all creation and destruction. And we might also say, well, that's just the nature of consciousness. Consciousness is there always, no matter what's going on in the relative world, no matter what's coming, no matter what's going. Consciousness is in and through everything and is there at the beginning and is there at the end. You can't destroy consciousness. You can only destroy what's happening in the presence of consciousness. Shankara is another name for Shiva. So one interpretation is destroyer of doubt, while another is the doer of good. Shivaraj, King Raja, Shiva or Lord Shiva, Shambho. A name for Shiva is Shambhu, the simple one, the aesthetic. I salute Shiva, the form of the universe and Lord of the cosmic dance. With his ankle bells tinkling, he crushes death under his feet. So that's really the essence of that mantra. I pay my homage to Shiva in the form of the Lord of the cosmic dance, and he's like in the form of the universe. And as he's dancing and as I hear his music, he destroys death. He reminds me of the immortality that I am. And that's really the essence of that prayer. Okay, great. So let's get into it. So we're going to just start with the mantra, and we're just going to chant the mantra together. And so we can do it in call and response. And obviously, if you're happy to just keep yourself muted, because if we all try and chant together, it can be a little tricky with the sound. So I'll chant a line, and then you can just chant the line after me, and we'll just do a few rounds just to get comfortable with it. And always when we're working with mantra is, you know, such a beautiful way to focus the mind. And just remember, no matter what the mantra is, you are the meaning of the mantra, because you are the nature of consciousness. You are that. Whatever that deity is, or whatever that mantra is, you are the meaning. All right, so just relax, take a breath. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Now you can sing with me again. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Let's try it again. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. 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 Now we'll do the second line. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. 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 We'll go back to the first one. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Nataraj, Nataraja, Shambho Shankara Nataraja. Nataraj, Nataraja, Shambho Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Jaya Shiva Shankara Nataraja. So again, just sitting quietly for a few moments, and just noticing how it feels, the mantra feels in your body. Notice your breath. And then when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. So first we're going to go through the mudra sequence. So you learn each mudra and then we'll practice. So if you've never done mudra before, mudras are gestures. They act like subtle switches on the nervous system. So when the body, when we go into fight or flight and we feel that fluttering in our stomach, there's just a natural movement that happens, right? So in the old days, it used to be that when a tiger was chasing us, we would feel that fear and then we would run. So the part of the brain that's responsible for movement is also responsible for emotion and rational thought, rational decision making. And so whenever we're moving our hands, our legs, our feet, or whatever, we're engaging that part of our brain. So when we take our hands and we place them into specific gestures, it's like a subtle switch which relaxes that part of the brain and connects us with that sense of calm and peace. And the word mudra means that which comes from oneness and is pleasing. So it's a pleasing experience to hold the mudra and to hold the gesture. So the first mudra that we're going to do is Nataraj mudra. And I need to just come a little bit closer to you so you can see my hands. So we're going to extend the index finger and the middle finger and cross the other fingers. So you'll cross your little finger and your ring finger, and then you'll rest your right thumb on top of your left thumb. And so this is Nataraj mudra, and you can hold it down, you can hold it up, or you can hold it straight ahead, whatever, or you might like to rest it right at your solar plexus, whatever feels comfortable to you. And then just close your eyes. And when you hold a mudra, just being present with your breath. You might feel some heat coming into the body. All the mudras that we're doing today are going to be fiery mudras, so great for the change of season, if we're starting to feel a little chilly, or even if you're in spring right now on the other side of the world. It'll just bring that inner fire. All right, and then from there we're going to move into Shankha mudra. So Shankha mudra is the conch mudra. You'll take your left hand and lift your left thumb and wrap all the other fingers around that left thumb. And then you'll bring your hand to touch the opposite thumb. So it looks like a conch shell. Can everybody see that? Yeah? And then you can just hold that here. So you're holding the conch shell. And so Shiva blows the conch. Wake up! There is no birth, there is no death, there's only wholeness, oneness, and that is the nature of who you are. So just holding this, you might like to close your eyes for a moment and just feel it. It's a very comforting mudra. You might notice that your breath becomes very calm. All right, and then when you're ready, just releasing. And then from here, you're just going to take that same thumb, so it's still the left thumb, and you're going to wrap your thumb around it. So it looks like this. And you see, you're holding, I'm trying to find the best way to show you. So you're holding your right thumb with your left thumb, and your 4 fingers are wrapped around the back of your left hand. Yes, that's it. That's great. So this is Naga Mudra, and Naga means snake. So it's Naga Mudra. So Shiva, often you see Shiva with a snake wrapped around him, and the snake represents the individual, the ego, that sense of self, which hisses and spits and reacts to everything. And when you recognize yourself as that wholeness, that oneness, that consciousness, then the snake withdraws and just sits happily on Shiva's shoulder and just watches everything. So this is Naga Mudra. Okay, and then from here we're going to move into what's called Rudra Mudra. So take your thumb and your index and your ring finger together and extend your little finger and your middle finger. Yes, that's it. Like, my fingers are getting a little old and tired. They don't extend like they used to. And so Rudra is the aspect of Shiva which is powerful and forceful and strong and makes clear decisions and moves forward with intensity and integrity. So we always think of Rudra as kind of the aspect of Shiva that takes no prisoners, you know, like shows, I mean, Shiva is just like really goes for it. When there's an agenda, Rudra just takes hold of it, takes charge. So like I said, these are all fiery mudras. Okay, and then from here we're going to take that left hand just right at your solar plexus and make a fist and extend your right thumb. And then you place your fist in your hand with your thumb extended. And this is Linga Mudra. So I talked at the beginning of the session that the lingam is this spherical shape that has no beginning and no end, and how it also represents space, how space has no beginning and no end, and how Shiva represents, Nataraj represents that space of consciousness. So this is the Linga Mudra. And then our last mudra is called Merudanda Mudra, which is the mountain that Shiva goes to, and it's the stick. And Merudanda is really the spine, represents the spine, and it represents the energetic spine and how energy just flows up and, you know, out and illuminates us. So you make a fist and you extend your thumbs and you just place them on your thighs or your knees. And this is Merudanda Mudra. So when our energy is balanced, when we're truly have that knowledge of who we are, all the energy just flows naturally through the body, a pure reflection of that light that we are, that consciousness that we are. All right, and then relax. So we're going to go through those mudras now with the mantra, and I will guide you through. And then when we finish the mudras, I'll take you straight into the meditation. So just make sure that you are comfortable. And for those who don't know me, I live with type 1 diabetes, so I have to check my blood sugar, and I do it with my phone. And that's why you'll see me checking my phone right now. Okay, so here we go. Are we ready? Can we even remember what it was? All right, so the first one is the Nataraj Mudra. So we extend the index finger, the middle finger, we cross the lower fingers, and we cross the right thumb over the left thumb. Here we go. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. Next, we take hold of the thumb with all four fingers, our left thumb with all four fingers, and then we wrap the thumb, we take the thumb to the index finger into Shankha Mudra. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Next, we go into Naga Mudra. So we take hold of the right thumb, take hold of the left thumb with the right thumb, and wrap the four fingers around. So it looks like that. Naga Mudra. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Next, we come into Rudra Mudra. So we take the thumb, the middle finger, thumb, the index finger, and the ring finger to touch. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. Next, we bring our left hand down and we bring our right fist to rest in the left palm with the thumb up. This is Linga Mudra. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. And then lastly, we come into Merudanda. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shiva Raj, Shiva Raja, Shambho Shankara Shiva Raja. And just let your hands relax. Make sure you're comfortable. And just start by taking some long, deep breaths. And just feel the breath in your belly. Really connect with that breath. You might even like to place your hand on your belly. And if you're not comfortable belly breathing, just breathe in a way that feels absolutely natural to you. And then bring your awareness just to the breath in the chest area. You might feel your ribs expanding, your chest lifting slightly. And just feel the prana there, feel the life force there. You are that life force. And then just feel the breath flowing from your belly to your chest, to your upper chest. Just take a few breaths like that, in and out, all the way through. We call this a full, complete breath. Now bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows and visualize there a slow burning flame. Like the flame of a tapered candle. And as you gaze into the flame, just notice how a dancing figure emerges. And that figure is surrounded by a ring of fire. And you see that this is Nataraj, the cosmic dancer. Imagine that you were holding a small little clay pot in your hand. This is a divya, and it's filled with ghee in a little wick. And you can see that there is a flame coming from the wick. And this is your offering to Nataraj. And begin to circle your lamp around the burning ring of Nataraj. Your light moving in rhythm with his flaming halo. So you can go as slow or as fast as you like, just in your mind's eye, circling your lamp around the flaming halo of Nataraj. With each turn of the lamp, you will reflect on his 5 divine powers. The first round is your creativity. What are your creative gifts? How do they show up in your life? What have you always wanted to explore? What is still waiting to express itself? And as you turn your lamp around the circle, thinking about your creativity, let one strong creative light emerge as you complete this first round. It can be anything. And try and stay with that, what that might be. What is that one creative gift that stands out to you right now and is emerging right now out of this round? And when you feel that, when you've really got that, just imagine that you're putting that gift beside you and you'll pick it up again later. Now, as you move through the second round is sustenance. What sustains you in your life? What nurtures you? What keeps everything steady for you? As you ponder these qualities of sustenance, what one form of sustenance emerges for you today from this second round? And again, try and really capture that in a thought or a word. And then again, you can place it beside you, like you're placing a gift beside you. Now the third round is dissolution. And as you circle your divya, your lamp, around the halo of Nataraj, what is dissolving in your life? What have you let go of? What don't you need anymore? Let one form of dissolution emerge from this third round. And again, place it beside you, remembering the creative gift, the gift of sustenance, and now you have the gift of dissolution. What is that one thing that you can really let go of now? The fourth round is concealment. What do you hide from? What do you hide from others? What is hiding in plain sight? What is brewing below the surface that you're not even sure about? Let one form of concealment emerge from this fourth round. You might not even know what it is. It might just be, it's hidden, I can't see it. So that's what emerges. I don't know. A sense of not knowing. It can be anything. And again, place that beside you as a gift. Now our last round is a round of grace. Where is there pure grace in your life? Where do you feel blessed? What magical things have happened for you recently? What can you trust about yourself and the world? Let one form of grace emerge from this last round and see it as a gift, placing it beside you. Now see these 5 gifts, these 5 qualities of creation and sustenance, dissolution, concealment, and grace as 5 lights. And see these 5 lights moving in a clockwise circle. And step inside those lights and be Nataraj. Let the inner dance be whatever you want it to be. So there you are, dancing inside these 5 gifts, these 5 qualities. And just see that for a moment. And as you are surrounded by all these beautiful aspects, let them merge into an intention for yourself for the month ahead. Feel it landing in your heart like a seed. Feel it pulsing there like the drum, the damaru of Nataraj. And see that intention like a word or a phrase or a feeling. Something that leads you forward into the divine dance of life. Now take a moment maybe to write this intention down, or even just to formulate it in your mind if that's comfortable. But just take a bit of time to think about what's emerged out of feeling yourself as Nataraj, surrounded by these lights. And really feel it like a drum, pulsing in your heart, vibrating out into the dance of your life. So you might like to take a moment after the session is finished to write it down, and also to think about those 5 aspects that emerged. But for now, let's just come back to the breath. Let go of the image of Nataraj. And we'll just chant again one more time. Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shivaraj, Shivaraja, Shambho Shankara Shivaraja, Nataraj, Nataraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja, Shivaraj, Shivaraja, Shambho Shankara Shivaraja, Jai Shiva Shankara Nataraja. So when you're ready, just gently opening your eyes. Thank you, everyone.